It is known large women are highly misrepresented in images, media, and policy. My claim that I'm presenting to you guys today is health issues that overweight women face today are caused by social expectations. And my 3 claims to support this are as follows. The blatant use of overweight stereotypes for entertainment in images and media have harmful consequences to the viewing audiences. The misrepresentation results in discrimination of these women in work and social environments. And the overwhelming weight of social stereotypes on large women affects both their mental and physical health. So to give you an idea of how important this is, the National Center for Health and Statistics has concluded that from 2011 to 2014, 1 in 3 young adult women ages 20 to 39 are overweight with a linearly increasing trend. So you can tell this is our age group and affects 1 in 3 of our women. So the use of fat stereotypes for entertainment has very significant consequences to the viewing audiences. I'm sure many of you have seen the TV show Friends, and if you've seen it, you already know where I'm going with this. To give a little short backstory, there's a character named Monica, and they all constantly allude to her in her teenage years when she was fat. And when I think of fat Monica, she was portrayed as a very jolly person. She's dancing around, and while she's dancing, she's usually eating a pastry or a sandwich. Holly Harper, a graduate from the University of Tulsa, has examined in her article, Fat Monica from Friends is Not Even Fat. A plus-size high schooler is hardly an anomaly, and anyone who identifies as such would be distraught to see a character that represents them being made into the butt of a joke. So Friends is a very popular show, and they have a very large audience base. So they appeal to many, many people, and a significant amount of those look at Fat Monica and they become belittled. In the article, Sassy and Sexless Plus-Size Female Characters in Television, Morgan Glennon, a social media specialist and analyst, has examined female characters above the ideal weight on television are often relegated to the sassy best friend role when not an object of ridicule. They are only there to give advice or to act as a comic relief, but not allowed to have their own storylines. Their romantic lives paint them as either desperate or sexist. Large women are highly neglected and put down to a level of insecurity. They think nothing good will happen to them if they remain in this current state. So these misrepresentations lead to women facing high levels of discrimination in work and social settings. So as Washington Post writer Ellen Goodman states in Culture of Thin Bites Feature Teens, going thin is no longer a social disease, but the perceived requirement for getting a good job, nice clothes, and fancy cars. Additionally, in psychology, PhDs Paula M. Brochus and Melanie Morrison's report titled Implicit Explicit Prejudice Toward Overweight and Average Weight Men and Women, individuals who are overweight or are perceived to be overweight experience multiple forms of discrimination in areas such as employment, education, healthcare, and interpersonal relations. So in the work area, employers would impart negative biases toward these large women and therefore would not hire them or look down upon them. So overweight women receive a much larger derogation, or in other words, belittlement, than the average size woman. So all the weight of these social stereotypes on large women affects both their physical and mental health. In social journalist Sadiq Muhammad Ali and Martin Lindstrom's article titled Socioeconomic, Psychosocial, Behavioral, and Psychological Determinants of BMI Among Young Women, women who were underweight had significantly higher odds ratios for overtime work, low emotional support, and poor psychological health than normal weight women. And women who are more overweight or obese were subject to more unemployment, had low education, low social participation, low emotional and instrumental support, were daily smokers, and were mostly inactive compared to normal weight women. So it is blatantly obvious that these negative stereotypes lead to social anxiety among these women and the diminishing quality of life. So in conclusion, all these health issues that women face are mostly caused due to the social expectations. Harmful misrepresentations in images and media result in discrimination in their work and social settings. And all this weight will lead to the aforementioned mental and physical issues.
All right, the phrasing of the proposition is still a little bit of an issue, but it's clear what it is your claim is and the general direction that you're headed. The contents of the speech are laid out, although I think the language on the second and the third points is so complex it's hard to figure out as a listener exactly what those points mean. In the body of the speech you explain the assumptions that you're making, so that's relatively clear, but the conclusions I think need to be a little bit sharper. The structure in the preview is clearer than the structure in the body of the speech, and it should at least be equal, if not better, in the body of the speech. And I thought that that was a little bit problematic. You have a tendency to kind of follow the story, follow the example, follow the evidence that you have, instead of using the evidence to make an inference and then let us follow the inferences. And I think you need to make those inferences more consistently in the presentation. You've got a couple of examples that you use. There's not really a lot of statistical support in the presentation. One question that came up in my head while I was thinking about this was what was the statistical information on women in their employment, their average salaries, all that sort of thing, based on the weight issue that they're being faced with. And you had one piece of information that suggested a general link to that, but it was definitely not statistical in the sense that it didn't provide us with any numbers to make that assessment. It just gave us a conclusion that said these things happen. So I think it would be helpful if you had some other information to support those conclusions. The testimony from social scientists is okay. It explains the general concept behind those things. I think you need to be able to follow it up and find practical applications of that as well. All right, I'm kind of rushing so that we can get in our last